Hello, hello. Okay, so I am going live completely impromptu. I just have this stirring inside of me to get this word out right now. So I wanted to just go live really quickly and get this out. So I'm not really looking for people to join me because I did not announce this, but I wanted to share something with you. And this started with a word that God gave me, and I put it out to my email list. So let me pull up this word. Okay, so here we are. We are going to be discussing really quickly. I hope I'll be done in like 10, 15 minutes. I'm not sure. But anyhow, I have gotten a word about being unequally yoked. Now, this word is coming out just because I feel like there's an urgency that women are wanting to, obviously women have been wanting to get married since day one. I get that, I'm not stupid. But this year, it just feels different. It feels like, not that time is running out, but I just feel like this sense of urgency that women are wanting and needing to be married. Like, yes, I felt last year we wanted to be married and all of that, but this year it just feels different. So God gave me this word and I wanted to share it with you guys. So the word is, we're going to start with 2 Corinthians 6:14. So let me go to my Bible. Okay, 2 Corinthians 6:14. And I'm going to be reading out of the ESV. Okay, it says, "Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. For what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness? Or what fellowship has light with darkness?" So when I first read this, I was like, well, duh, that makes sense. Don't be unequally yoked. Like, who doesn't know that, right? But when I kept looking at it, I don't know. Sometimes when my brain isn't satisfied, or God, like the Spirit is telling me, like, no, there's something deeper, I will reread the same line literally 100 times. And I'm like, okay, something's not making sense to me. So that happened with this word the other day when I kept rereading it. And it said, I kept rereading, do not be unequally yoked. And I know it says with unbelievers, but something told me like, no, this is a step further. So let me go back to my notes, because y'all know I don't like looking at my notes, and then I'll just ramble and we'll be here till 5. So anyhow, I wrote, I looked up unequally yoked in the Greek, and it says to be yoked differently, to associate discordantly. So I was like, I feel like this isn't just for being unequally yoked with a believer and a non-believer. I feel like there's a deeper meaning to this. So the word that God gave me, it says, I wrote, we waited as women. We're waiting too long to give up at the end and settle. And don't get me wrong when I say settle. I don't mean like you have this crazy list that you're dating this guy who has to drive a Bugatti. He has to be an NBA player. I'm not saying like that. And you're dating like Jake from State Farm. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is we cannot give up the spiritual things that God has given us, and we cannot settle with someone who does not have that same calling as us. That is what God was showing me about being unequally yoked. So you cannot be a new Christian. I'm sorry, let me rephrase this because I'm talking to women. You cannot be a mature Christian and then date someone with hopes to marry a new Christian. And let me explain that. I don't think there's anything wrong with someone who just got saved last week, right? However, if God called you to a certain thing in your life, if God called you, if you know you're a prophet, if you know you're intercessor, if you know you're a seer, if you know that you are a praying woman, you know that God gave you this spiritual gifting and this is your calling, this is that thing that you are going to be doing in your life, you're not supposed to marry someone who maybe just got saved last week and he doesn't even know how to pray. And I'm not making fun of anyone. I'm not judging, and I'm not trying to be judgmental in the fact that like, well, everyone starts somewhere. Yes, I agree with that. But if God called you to a specific skill set, a specific life, a specific purpose, you have to marry your equal in that purpose. You can't be carrying someone who isn't your equal. Now, I have an example. Because I took a screenshot. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to share this. So Let me get up my notes. Hopefully you guys can see it. Here is what it looks like when the Bible says you cannot be unequally yoked. So if you see that little bar thing, that's holding both of the animals, right? So let's pretend that's you and then that's the person. Just because we are in a time in life where it's like, dang, I'm in my 30s, I'm in my mid 30s, I'm about to be in my late 30s, I'm about to be 40, I am 40. Whatever your age is, we cannot take this time to settle and just get married just so we can say, I'm married, I'm finally married, I finally got a man. We cannot do that. And I brought this picture up as an example because this is what your marriage would look like. This would be you. And then this would be the person weighing you down. You would be pulling that person. And same likewise to a man. A man should not marry someone who isn't called to the same thing. We are called to what am I trying to say? Lord help me. Like is called to like. Yes, opposites attract. Like you can like football and he doesn't have to, or vice versa. That stuff is different. Those are just preferences. Those aren't deal or no deal. Remember, marriage is about kingdom, right? Marriage isn't just because you want to get sex. Marriage isn't just because you want to take pictures. Marriage isn't just because you want to have vacations and all of that. Marriage is about a kingdom ministry. So if we're understanding that this is what God is telling us to do, we have to understand that you cannot be unequally yoked. So I'm going to show you the picture one more time. So this is what it looks like if you are unequally yoked with someone. And like I said, I don't mean you make X amount and he only makes this. That's totally fine. But spiritually, you're not supposed to be unequally yoked. So back to my notes. So the next word God gave me was you have to be with someone who can carry the same. And you have to make sure that you are being wise in your dating. You have to make sure you're being wise when you are dating, especially now, just because God is raising the remnant right now. And right now, God needs these marriages to do things. Not saying that marriages in the past weren't to do ministry and help the ministry go. But right now, God is looking for those people to rise up in a time like this. So you cannot afford to be with someone who will weigh you down, someone who's not on the same page as you, because you have a strict and specific calling in your life. So I wanted to give you one more example. And the other example was, I want to read Proverbs 27:17. So let me go to my Bible, Proverbs 27:17. And I have ESV again. Okay, so it says, iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. So I love this verse just because we have to see being unequally yoked or being equally yoked as iron sharpening iron. Now, I brought some demonstrations with this. So I have a butter knife because my knives are horrible. So I have a butter knife. So let's pretend this is you, the butter knife, right? Pretend this is a sharp blade, like, oof. It cuts you. Okay. So this is the blade right here, your butter knife. You cannot get with someone like this and expect you guys to sharpen each other. So the butter knife, it's sharp. But if I kept doing this, this spoon is going to dull this butter knife. Pretending these are actual blades, of course. This spoon is going to dull it. If I keep going like this, this might get a little rough, and then it will no longer function the way it's supposed to. You'll no longer be able to eat ice cream with this spoon because it's not doing what it's doing. It's too sharp to just eat something off like that. And then this will be dull. You'll no longer have this. So when it says you have to be equally yoked or iron sharpens iron, you have to be the same. So this knife, if I scrape it, these two things are going to sharpen each other. These two things are going to help each other. These two things are going to grow one another. You cannot be a knife and a spoon or a fork or anything else because these two aren't sharpening each other. These two things, the more you use them together, the better they will get. The more you use them, the better they will get. And this is a demonstration that God gave to me about being unequally yoked. So we have to understand that is essentially how God wants us to be. So I want to make sure I'm staying on my notes. So they have to go hand in hand. I wrote that. Okay, so like I said, this will be pulling the dead weight of this if it's not the same thing. So I'm going to read the original verse again, and it's 2 Corinthians 6:14. So I'm going to read the original verse one more time and finish up. 2 Corinthians 6:14. Okay, it says, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers, for what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness, or what fellowship has light with darkness? So again, I just wanted to share this with you guys really quickly, because we have to understand, especially women, we're in a time where God is raising us up, and these prophetic marriages are becoming more and more. And it's not because marriage is the fun stuff that we think it is, but marriage is our ministry. Marriage is a mission that we are supposed to be doing with a partner, with a ministry partner. So you can't just marry anyone and call that person your ministry partner. You can't just marry anyone and hope and pray they're going to be in the same alignment, the same agreement as you. So if you're talking to someone who I don't know, maybe he's been saved a while, but he just goes to church on Sunday, or he only goes to church, or he only listens to the Bible once every now and then, and he doesn't really read the Bible. He doesn't really dive into the Bible. You cannot be with someone like that if this Bible, if the word is your number one, which it should be. So I will keep rambling. I just wanted to share that really quickly with you. So I'll be back. I'm not sure when. This word literally just like kind of popped up, and I was like, ooh, I got to get on and share this. But okay, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.